when you have a scenario like this, James, where the champion of the class, Hunter Lawrence, moves out, how big is it to establish yourself like Deegan's trying to do right now?
Yeah, unfortunate for me, I've actually never been in that situation where the champion's been out, but I can only imagine for Hayden Deegan, he was able to beat Hunter Lawrence, and he was one of the guys that we picked coming into that. I think he's more sending a message to everyone else, and it just seemed like where everybody else trying to get the confidence, he has it, and so he's just kind of solidifying himself as the guy. If they don't stop him, he's going to be hard to beat, but that's why we go racing.
Yeah, that's right. Pivotal moment right and now. Hey, it's now the longest active win streak in the sport, the 3 moto wins in a row for Deegan. But we will take the results from that first moto that you watched the highlights from, take the results from this moto that's about to begin, and combine them together for an overall on the day. 40 riders, 30 minutes, 2 laps. Let's go from Hangtown. Much better start for Deegan this time, and he has a clear motosport.com whole shot.
Man, you see him close that gap off. He did not let off the gas. He closed that gap with an authority, but great start by him. And yeah, Levi Kitchen.
And Ty Masterpool. Masterpool shoots by his teammate up to second, pair of Kawasaki's.
Yeah, great start by Ty, and even Chance Hyman's running in fourth, but not what they wanted to see. Hayden Deegan out front. Let's see if Ty Masterpool can give him the business, try to get in front of him.
Well, Masterpool's always had great speed, but was a 450 racer last year and was supposed to be again this year. Just switched to this team, Monster Pro Circuit Kawasaki, last week, right before round 1. How quickly can he readjust?
Yeah, now they put it down some water on this track, and we saw what happened last weekend. Hayden made a few mistakes and then adjusted his line selection to try to eliminate those mistakes. So maybe that's the opportunity if he feels uncomfortable like that. Maybe a guy like Masterpool and can get on him, but yeah, he's already trying to get away. And if I'm Levi, I got to get around my teammate Ty and just try to keep that 38 in sight.
Hymas 4th, Boomer 5th, Shimoda, Swole, Ryder McNabb out of Canada 8th. Vial and Cody Schock round out the top 10 early. And I thought maybe Kitchen had a wheel on his teammate, but nope. Masterpool holding him at bay.
Yeah, and Ty, I mean, as you can see him, he almost lost the front end going in that corner. It's going to be difficult for Levi because obviously he's watching Deegan get away, but he doesn't want to push it too much because it is wet, and they did fix some parts on this racetrack. So it is racy, but there's parts of this racetrack you just got to let it come to you and then see if you can then regroup and go after him.
Oh yeah, you can see a lot of work with the bulldozer there. You can see some of the tracks on the track. That corner before the mechanics about to click off. 1 lap complete here. And Deegan up to about a second over Masterpool.
Yeah, and we see in the Jet Lawrence in the 250, once you're out front, I mean 450 class, once you're out front, you can dictate the race. So you have the pace. Obviously, you're the fastest guy, but it allows you to be able to slow down in certain areas to make sure you don't make a mistake. And now Hayden Deegan is trying to put this race away. And what he can do early is get out front, get him a gap, and then just kind of manage it from that point. But Katie, you have something on Ty down there?
Yeah, actually, Ty was telling me earlier today that his backside is still sore from Paula. He's not entirely comfortable that way, but the bike is actually really great. I asked him to describe what this ride meant to him to be with this team. He said, this is a feeling. The feeling of this bike is something that I've been trying to get for the past 3 to 4 years. He said, AKA, just a factory ride at that point. And of course, you guys know what that's all about.
Absolutely, Katie. He was a factory rider when he first entered the pro ranks with Deegan's team, Monster Energy Star Yamaha, but didn't really have any Supercross experience or results, and they let him go. And boy, though, can he fly in motocross, and he was challenging Deegan there.
Yeah, and to mention what Hayden did last weekend by going outside. That inside is a little wet, so he just goes outside, which allows Ty and the guys behind him to make some time up on him. It's kind of like a false sense of confidence because he's going out there to eliminate mistake, but it's keeping Ty there. And as you were mentioning, Jason, like he did have a factor route. That's Ty Masterpool. And I would say if it wasn't for him moving up to the 450 class a couple years ago, we wouldn't be surprised if he was up here battling with Hayden Deegan. But things changed over the last couple years.
Ooh, Deegan gets sideways on the takeoff for that jump. Look at Masterpool go, putting serious pressure on.
Yeah, Deegan, he lost the front end, both ends going off that. And yeah, you got to give Ty some props because not only is he staying with Deegan, he's pulling away from Levi as well, so he does have a great pace. And you know when Ty has really nothing to lose, so he's probably having a good time, and man, it would feel good for him to be able to make a pass on Hayden if he could.
Big battle here. I think that's the teammates, the and Boomer in the Red Bull KTMs. Hymas fourth. Swole, then the KTM boys.
Yeah, that was Vial making the pass, and he needs to have a better performance this moto. I think that first one was kind of a little below his standard, so it'll be interesting to see if they made some bike changes or does he just feel more comfortable. But I'm sure he's going to want to at least try to get up here and battle for that podium, if not the win.
And what can Hymas do there in fourth? Katie, go ahead.
Yeah, Stu, just to follow up with that for Vial, they did make some bike changes, but it was actually for a better start. So it's still not really what they're working for. Tom did tell me, though, he's still just trying to figure out this bike. It's getting closer each time he's out. This past week they did some shock work, but really he is trying to figure it all out so it's comfortable underneath him.
Yeah,
place right now. Go ahead, James.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going for a better start, then obviously I didn't think his start was too bad. I mean, yeah, he was back there with Hayden. I think the difference is if I was Tom, I would be trying to figure out what was on the racetrack, but maybe the bike was good enough. Maybe he just didn't ride to where he wanted to, but nonetheless, it's still right in front of him. And if you notice, when Hayden went down that hill, he went to the inside this time, and as I mentioned before, he went outside and allowed Ty to close in. I think he sensed where Ty was, and if he'd have went inside, it would have got him too close and maybe lost the lead if he did that.
Vial putting it back together, closing on Hymas. Kitchen now closing on Masterpool. Masterpool a lap ago was pressing Deegan for the lead. Now he has heat from third.
Yeah, Levi's starting to find his form, and that's where I was saying that little false sense of hope by being able to close on Hayden. Hayden's lines were allowing that to happen. He went down the main line. So again, still early in this race. Unfortunately for those guys, we know Hayden's probably only going to get stronger, and hopefully with Levi, he's taking some of those lines that he learned from Hayden at first moto and be able to put use, but he's got to get around his teammate in Ty Masterpool to be able to even have that chance.
And Vial's coming in a hurry. He wants to join this party. See where Hymas and Vial are as well as they pop over that jump.
Yeah, and speaking of Tom Vial, like he did that the first moto, like he was making his way up, and we thought he was going to hook on to Hayden and come up when he was back there with Sabachi, and then he kind of stalled out. So see if that's going to change the second moto. I'm sure he's probably upset on that, and it's still early in the race, so everybody's right in front of him. But shout out to Tom Masterpool for keeping his gap over his teammate and keeping Hayden somewhat in sight.
Yeah, talking to Masterpool, I figured they'd make a lot of bike changes after he finally got to race it, but he said, no, all I learned is the bike is sick. I didn't need to change anything on that. I just got to adjust to riding a 250. You noticed in qualifying last week, just carrying too tall of a gear, not shifting enough. He said, absolutely. The 450, I maybe need to downshift once in the corners. Here, I got to do 2 or 3. He's definitely improved this week.
Yeah, and you would think that he's switching from 450 Kawasaki to 250 Kawasaki, so it wouldn't be that big of a difference, but it is a huge difference, and especially going from the bigger bike to the smaller one. Even though it's a little bit lighter, the way you have to ride that thing is completely different. And so for Ty, we were just talking about last weekend how he was shifting. It wasn't shifting, and each weekend he's going to continue to get better along with his confidence and then start having rides like he does right now. But that's all him getting used to that 250, and he's starting to do it well now.
Back to this fight, James. It is Hymas and Vial. Thought Hymas, yeah, still there in fourth, but definitely thought Vial was closing, and he has.
Yeah, Tom, as this race we've seen all day, guys can make some time up, when they're letting off, and especially with these downhills, a guy in front of you, they slow down, you just hold on to brakes, take that chance to get on them, but still passing him is a different story. So we might see Tom close in on Chance, but getting around him, as we noticed all day long, it might be a little difficult as Levi's trying to get around his teammate again for the next few laps.
Yeah, it's hard to decide which battle is going to crack first. Will it be Masterpool versus Kitchen, or the Hymas Vial battle right behind them as Deegan begins to roll away up front?
I love this section right here. If we saw Chase Sexton get around Hunter, it going inside or outside opens it up, and by going inside puts you on the outside here, and it allows Levi to do it. But it seems like Ty kind of slowed down and got more and stayed on the inside, but it's still, this section makes a lot of passing opportunities with these guys, and that's what I love about this new track map.
Yeah, they used to really get tight through there and they have an off-camber, and it was hard to make passes when it was so tight through that section. They've opened it up. Kitchen now onto the back fender of Masterpool.
Yeah, he's starting to see Hayden get away a little bit. Now it looks like Levi hugged down that inside. Now he's going to be put on the outside here, so let's see what he does. See if he can get this corner and get a run. Got a pretty good drive out of that, so he's going to have the momentum to Ty.
Not quite able to get there. Masterpool, both of his parents great in snowboarding and alpine, as they call it. Legendary, his dad, legendary coach, even at the Olympic level for that. But their kids like dirt bikes.
There you go.
And there it is, inside line for Kitchen. Ty's got to be nice. That's teammates. They didn't come together, and Kitchen's up to second.
Yeah, that was a nice pass by Levi. He kind of caught Ty sleeping. Ty didn't think he was going to be able to be that close and make that pass, but yeah, nice move. And that's what I like about the track. Being here opens up a lot of opportunity from just the line selection. You can go. Great move.
And then you still have this Vial-Hymas battle. Hymas really trying to establish himself as right in it with a guy like Vial, who has 2 World Motocross Championships and this year's 250 East Supercross Championship in Vial. I think we might, after these 4 motos, just say that Hymas just might be one of these guys. He's basically been in this fight all 4 motos this year.
Yeah, 100%. Chance is becoming that guy. And with Tom, as I mentioned earlier, it's one thing catching a guy. You still have to be creative and find some different lines to make a pass. So, yeah, although he's on him, Chance is riding at a good enough pace and riding really good today that it's going to make it difficult for Tom to make a round unless he catches him like Levi did towards his teammate.
All right, here it is. Vial looking to set up Hymas. Is that a mistake by Hymas out of the corner?
Yeah, he made a mistake, but I think Tom wasn't really sure where he was going to go. Was he going to go down the middle? So he decides, I'm just going to let off the brakes and just run it down.
Man, made that look easy.
Yeah, he made it done. And this is a part where I love this racetrack. You can make that time up and you get side by side. It's a game of chicken, and Tom Vial had the biggest hit in the coop that time.
So Vial is up to 4th. We'll see if he can track down Masterpool for a shot at the podium. And there is the 16 Red Bull KTM. Meanwhile, what I think has changed here, is Kitchen going to make a run at Deegan now that he's got clear racetrack?
Well, he mentioned it at the podium. He was saying that now he saw, once Hayden got around him, he saw his line. So let's see if he was bluffing or telling the truth. It looks like he has. And that confident pass that he made on Ty probably gave him a little bit of confidence, and Hayden wasn't pulling away too much. So we're going to find out how much is that Hayden letting this track get into him, or Levi's picking up the pace as Tom Vial is making a pass on Ty right here.
This is the guy picking up the pace. Tom Vial, 2 passes in 1 lap. He's gone around Hymas and Masterpool and send it to Jason Thomas.
Well, Vial is on the move, but thinking about this battle out front, the status quo has been Hayden waits around and just takes advantage of Levi late. He even makes comments about being able to take advantage of Levi late in the moto. So until something changes with that, why would Hayden think any differently? So I think he's being really patient. To James's point, he's letting the track work in some of that wet dirt on top, dry up a little bit so they can get into full race pace. I don't think he truly fears Levi late in the moto, so he's probably comfortable to sit 2 seconds in front of him at this point.
Well, it's going to be a critical juncture here, JT. We thought it was a wide open 250 championship, but Hayden Deegan's trying to put that talk to an end. There is Deegan at the top, and there is Kitchen trying to keep him in sight.
Yeah, Levi's doing a great job at trying to keep it, but as JT was mentioning, like now it got down to a little bit over a second, and then Hayden turned it up. So yeah, I don't think there's no stress to Hayden. He rode behind him, and you got to think he's really confident after what he was able to do, one last weekend, but even that first moto, and then knowing that the second was only going to be tougher. So if he thought the guy might get tired last weekend, he feels pretty comfortable right now, and this kid is riding with a boatload of confidence, and it's showing.
3.5 seconds quickly now is the lead for Deegan. Yesterday we asked him about expectations here in his 2nd full pro season.
A lot of people expect me to be really great right off the bat, which, I mean, my rookie season outdoors, I think I excelled good. I think they might have just jumped the gun a little bit. I mean, it takes time, you know, get to this point where you're going 1-1 outdoor nationals, winning supercrosses. It's a process. It's not something that happens overnight. And yeah, I mean, it's taken a lot of work, consistency, and slowly building. And I think we're getting to that point now where it's like, now I want to dominate, you know?
Yeah, obviously Deegan wants to dominate, and he's doing just that. The team also told him that he's grown up a lot since last year. This year, he knows what he can do. He knows what he's capable of. He also knows that he can sprint for 35 minutes, and that's a really critical thing with what motocross is all about. And very different than, of course, guys that we see in Supercross.
He's definitely sprinting, Katie. I'm watching James Stewart next to me here. Pretty impressed, I think, of what you're seeing.
Man, did you guys see those last two corners by Hayden Deegan? One put on the pegs, leaned over, and then that next one he was standing up. Yeah, you're talking about it's somebody who's, I mean, just that, feeling confidence, but I've been able to adapt his riding style and change it up. And I noticed that halfway through Supercross that he looked like he started just looking out more, like just his riding style his eyes were pointed forward, more ahead of him. So it looks like he's riding already ahead of the game, like everything's already planned out. But that was beautiful to watch that. And this kid's looking great, Jason.
Hayden Deegan continuing to put time into the field and trying to win the first 4 motos of what we thought could be a wide open 250 championship. The Lawrence brothers, Jet and Hunter, had won the last 3 titles in this division. They're now both in the 450 class. Hayden Deegan knew exactly what he needed to do. Take advantage of the opportunities, establish himself as the next guy. And here it's going to start with the motosport.com hole shot.
Yeah, right in the middle, right by the box. Hayden Deegan got to jump. And right here, you were thinking that maybe those guys, but Hayden hung it on and left that throttle. And he came across that hole shot. He earned that one. He shut those guys down. But, man, that was beautiful. And as we were talking about Hayden, I want you guys to pay attention to the way he's riding as we're watching Levi.
Wow, Tom Vial is on a roll here.
Tom Vial, yeah. Looked like whatever change they made for the start is working on the racetrack. So maybe they did the opposite. Great to see him. And as I was saying earlier, he kind of needed a bounce-back ride after that first moto. Not really sure what happened. He kind of stalled out. But this is the guy that has won that Supercross title. And if he continues this pace, he's going pretty good. Had the fastest lap time in his last lap. So maybe he can come after Hayden if he gets a shot.
Yeah, Vial 3rd overall last week, but he wasn't really that close to Kitchen or Deegan. They got away from him, especially in that first moto after he led for a bit. And you knew that he would be better soon, and better already. Apparently 7 days is all it took. He talked about having arm pump last week. It could be a round 1. Nerves, just not comfortable quite yet with motocross after a long Supercross campaign, whatever it is. He's definitely better today.
Yeah, he's definitely run better. And just like Hayden, as I was marveling Hayden, if you look at Tom Vial, it's kind of doing the same thing. What this track allows you to do, it allows you to make a rhythm around this racetrack. And if you watch Hayden and Tom Vial, if you just jump another foot forward on some of these steps up, the bike doesn't bounce going into the corner. So what they're doing, they're having one motion. Like, for instance, right here, they'll jump a little bit deeper into this. And what that does, it doesn't allow the bike to bounce up. And then they have one motion going through the corner. And Hayden Deegan and Tom Vial, you should just pay attention to the whole racetrack. They're jumping around this racetrack, Katie.
Yeah, he's doing a great job, and we know that they worked on the shocks this week, but also while he was out here on the West Coast, Tom Vial got a little R&R as well. He got out surfing, and he said it was a whole lot of fun, a totally different, obviously, adrenaline rush. He did catch some waves. I asked him if he did a lot of paddling or if he actually stood up, and he said he caught maybe 3 or 4. He felt it was a good day out in the water, and that reset could have also helped him a little bit here heading into this weekend.
Ah, that's good stuff, and I have a suspicion Vial, Kitchen, and Chase Sexton are training riding partners. Sexton pretty big on the surfing, so I'm going to imagine that his teammate introduced him to that. Everybody spent the week in California this week instead of going to Florida. The battle right now is between Masterpool and Hymas. That's what we're watching. This would be for 4th place. Hymas is in a podium fight with Vial. At the moment, Vial will be 3rd overall. But Hymas has a chance to gain some ground here and maybe take that podium back.
Yeah, it's kind of what we said last weekend. They were going back and forth in a position here and there where change the podium. But if you're Chance Hymas, I'm sure after leading that first moto and being right there with these guys, you're probably a little disappointed. But in hindsight, if you get around tied, you'll still be on the podium and wrap this thing up. And that'd be 2 podiums off the first start. That'd be a great way to start the season.
And it looks like he might make the move on the outside. A little hitch there in those ruts, and Masterpool holds him at bay.
Yeah, it was like Chance wasn't really prepared to make that pass, and Ty was like, here it is. No, he's not going to take it. But, yeah, great ride by Ty. I mean, he's hanging his own. He's in 4th place right now and giving Chance all he wants.
All right, Chance Hymas needs to dig deep. I think he might need to make 2 passes to get the podium today. Trying to start his work right now. uphill. He's getting close. Now, the point structure changed a little bit this year. Traditionally, 4th and 5th is a 2-point pass, and that would vault Hymas to the podium. He just made the move on Masterpool. No, Masterpool's not done.
Yeah, that was an aggressive pass by Chance. So Bulldog, nice move by him. He saw Ty going down there, and again, he just stayed off the brakes, made his way. That was good.
But this year, they changed the point structure. Only a 1-point difference between 4th and 5th. So Hymas only gained a point for that. That would leave him, if you look at the event points left side, tied with Kitchen and VL. Tiebreaker is the better second moto finish. So if Hymas wants the podium that he just missed out on last week, he's got to get to one of those guys.
Yeah, I thought you were just hanging out with me. As I say, 5 out of 4 people struggle with math. So
it just takes a while to break old habits. It's 1 point. Hymas has got some work to do. All right, so here it is, Chance Hymas. So we're watching the Michaels Reno Power Sports Hangtown Classic. Second-year pro Honda HRC rider number 48 wants to prove that he is a podium guy, and he just might have been, unfortunately for him, being a 4th-place guy 2 weeks in a row. He go off the track right there.
No, yeah, I mean, he jumped close off the track.
Edge, okay.
Yeah, I don't want to bring up off the track anything
No, we didn't have that last week.
Well,
yep.
But I'm looking at this gap up front. Tom Vial's closed this gap down to Hayden Deegan. It's only 2.5 seconds, so he's coming, and he's got a great pace. Yeah.
Well, this is it. KTM keys to the moto at the very start of the day, James. You said they've got to, someone has to. Don't let Deegan start becoming the man in this class. It looks like VL got the memo. He does not want Deegan to cruise out of here.
Yeah, I mean, you can hear it. I mean, those guys, they hear interviews, they hear all the talk, and it's not only Hayden winning, it's what he's saying. And so they know he's feeling confident. It's going to be interesting to see what Hayden does now as we're watching Jalik Swoll and Julian Premier.
Yeah, it's a battle. It's an 8th and 9th, I believe. No, 7th and 8th.
7th and 8th, yeah.
I think Swoll just made the move on the Triumph and the Red Bull KTM of Boomer.
Yeah, these guys are battling, and this is the hottest part of the day, roughest time of the day for these guys. Nice to see Jalik still moving forward. Great ride by him. But as I was saying, I was going to be interested to see what happened with Hayden once he got up. Once Tom started closing that gap, would he react? Like, would he, pick up that pace, kind of react in the way he was doing towards Levi Kitchen, and now it's gotten out to 3 seconds. So seems like Hayden's playing around. Wouldn't say playing around, but he has a little bit of speed in his pocket. And we'll see if he can continue that gap, or did Tom just make a mistake?
Pro Moto cross from Hangtown. Jalik Swoll working his way forward. He is up to 7th place, and his teammate Joey Savacci is 10th. Savacci we mentioned because he was riding well in the first moto, then had a bike problem and did not finish. So Savacci trying to get reset in this championship. And he should be part of the group we're going to see right here. You got Boomer, who we saw. Then Jordan Smith. There he is in the 31 with the yellow jersey. And then Savacci should be next. That'd be 9th and 10th.
Yeah, both these guys, Joey Savacci and Jordan Smith, had bike issues or something happened in that first moto where they didn't finish. So probably a bad gate pick and a bad start is probably the reason why they're so far back trying to make their way up. But still, the way the day started, it's a good recovery ride, and see if they can get going, JT.
Well, Joey Savacci was on the very inside gate of that second moto. Of course, he had a problem in the first moto. I asked the mechanic what went on. They said something electrical. We don't really have time to sort it out right now. So basically, in that essence, you just change everything that the problem could possibly be. He's back out there, but that very inside starting gate puts him behind the 8 ball starting, and you see him back up to 10th, but it's just a really tough position to even get off the line in.
Yeah, thanks, JT. You saw the graphic there, 35th in the first moto. That was because of the bike problem. As for Joey, I asked last week if he changed anything. Again, it's the first pro motocross race this Triumph bike has ever been in. And he said, no, I traditionally do not touch my bike after round 1. Fox Raceway, Paula, a little bit different track than most, so I try not to ever overreact to the first round. He's pretty comfortable and happy with the bike. And he and Smith trying to dig themselves out of the holes they were in from the first race. We go behind that. That is going to be Pierce Brown on the 39. The Troy Designs Red Bull Gas, and Casey Cochran back there. Rookie, fastest in qualifying today. Woo! Almost went down there, though. Kid's hanging it out.
Yeah, he's definitely hanging it out. As that downhill is getting tough for him. And, yeah, we saw Pierce Brown end up top 5 that first moto, so must have had a bad start or maybe a fall in the beginning. But yeah, I think it's a good day for Casey. I mean, the way last weekend was.
Oh, Deegan's down. Deegan, our race leader. And the question is, how much time did he lose? Has he handed the lead over?
Yeah, he's in second now. So Tom got around him. That's right before the mechanics error. And that section was getting really, really choppy for those guys. And I'm thinking where he was, must have went down and probably got that back end that kicked out and took him down. So let's take a look at it. It's going down right here, scrubs, and you can see all those ruts going down this hill. Get down. Yep, back in, kicks out. That was a big hit.
Today, forever reminding us, expect the unexpected in motorsports. Jet Lawrence, a massive win streak, blows up with a downhill crash. It looked like Hayden Deegan was seizing early control of this series. Downhill crash, for the moment, has cost him the win, and how much more. He's taking a look back. Where is Levi Kitchen? Right behind him, and now Tom Vial. How will this work out for the points? I believe Deegan would still win the overall because Vial had the fourth in the first moto. But I don't think it's about overalls right now. I think it's just about momentum, and this would be big for Vial to answer back.
Yeah, to be huge for Tom to answer back. And if you notice, when Hayden was getting up, Tom was already passing him. So Tom was answered Hayden pulling away, and that was all dealt. All that came down to was Tom keeping that pressure on him, and that's a bounce back ride no matter how you look at it. Yeah, Hayden went down, but Tom was putting the pressure, catching that gap, and it put Hayden in the spot, and he ended up going down.
You know, this makes me curious what happened in Moto 1. Remember, at one point, Vial had got to Deegan. He was on his rear wheel, and then it suddenly lost. I don't know, maybe he made a mistake or a tip over. Send it down to JT.
Well, I love the point that James made there about the pressure because he was getting it from the mechanics area. The mechanics were messaging him, Vial coming. They kept letting him know. And 3 laps prior to that in a row, Tom had made up a full second. So clearly Hayden knew and could see him. And there were a few laps even before that where Hayden was looking over. He was marking people, including Kitchen, to see where they were. So I think exactly what James said. He could sense the pressure, he could sense Vial coming in, and he tried to pick the pace up. That's when mistakes come.
Tom Vial. Maybe not the ride he quite wanted last week. No panic. Much better this time. So it's Tom Vial, the 2-time world champion out of France and the new Monster Energy 250 East Supercross champion. Now we're seeing the resume that we expected. This guy is proven as a champion and a race winner, a distant third last week. He has some serious speed today. I know it's going to look like Hayden Deegan handed it to him with the crash, but as we analyzed, Vial was keeping the heat on. We're checking in on our 450 riders. There is Jet Lawrence trying to stay loose after a big hit in the first 450 moto.
Yeah, good to see him on the bike. We'll see him in a few. But yeah, Tom Vial, we watched him practice. I thought this track was going to favor him. And then again, what happened at first moto, not really sure. I'm assuming that they changed more than just the tire for the start, because even his motorcycle looks a little bit better. But as this track is getting rougher, it's allowing Tom to jump around, as I was mentioning what Hayden was doing earlier, jump around this racetrack, and he's saving some energy. So now Hayden's gotten up, and he's still in front of Levi. But yeah, I want to go back and take a look at this crash, because as we were talking, when he goes down here, it's just downhill, and I saw the bike kicking around, and you can see this last little hump, the bike kicks out. And yeah, the Olympics, that's Olympics promo right there for you. Yeah,
see you in Paris.
We're doing, but he did a good job at rolling out of that thing, or at least letting it fly, but that was a tough one, JT.
Well, James, I know you used to do the sprinkler. I think that's called the helicopter, that move. A little bit different and differing, varying results, but I believe I've seen moves like that before.
I've seen some acrobatic moves from a lot of these guys, including Hayden Deegan. But yeah, I'm sure he's going to be watching Olympics. He didn't think it was going to start here today at Hangtown with him. But nice recovery for him to be able to get back up and keep Levi behind him. And it goes back to what I was mentioning earlier with Tom Vial and Hayden Deegan going against each other. How would Hayden react? And it seems like a lot of pressure got to him, and he went down and got up.
Watching Hayden Deegan here, was the moto leader at Hangtown, but then went down. and Tom Vial has taken advantage. Now, there's two different ways to look at this. The overall for the day would be Deegan, even though Vial has the moto win. The SMX playoffs are once again offering an opportunity for camping at all 3 rounds. Spots are going quick, so sign up today at supermotocross.com. That's a good time there, hanging out all weekend at the Super Motocross Playoffs and World Championship that'll be up in September. Deegan, that's why he has the different colors to his numbers there, because he won that World Championship a year ago. That denotes that. Right now, the order of business, though, is the Pro Motocross leg of the season-long series, and a bit of a reset here. Tom Vial. It is, don't hand anything over to Hayden Deegan yet. He was unbelievable the first 3 motos of the year. He did crash, but Vial showed he had pace today as well.
Yeah, Tom definitely has some pace, and what I was mentioning earlier, the difference is you got to think that Hayden had Levi Kitchen on him all last weekend, especially that second moto within 2 seconds, and him being able to not make mistakes, be really comfortable. Now you see Tom Vial get in and put Hayden in that same spot, and you see the difference. And that's where I go to when you know your competition or you have a chance to ride with him. I think everybody's trying to figure out Tom, so Hayden doesn't really know his tendencies. How would he be? Would he get stronger? And you could see it play out. I think if that was Levi Kitchen behind him, I don't think Hayden would have made that mistake. But because it was Tom, it makes him that unknown, and maybe another one pops out.
Yeah, it's a good point, because Deegan had pointed out on the podium that he knows Levi Kitchen well. They've been teammates for a bit with Yamaha, and he says he knows that Kitchen has a tendency to fade. They don't know with Tom Vial. Even though Vial raced here last year for the first time in America, Vial was adjusting to everything, learning the tracks, the weather, different motorcycle that compared to what he'd race in Europe. So a bit of an unknown quantity. How good would Vial be in year 2? I think we know he's going to be very good in motocross. He certainly improved a ton in Supercross. He takes a look over and sees he has a big lead.
Yeah, no, he looks back and has a big lead. And Hayden does had some experience racing against Tom in Supercross. They were going at it in a championship, and we saw at the race in Philadelphia, Hayden was all over Tom trying to get him to crack, and Tom never did. So you got to know Hayden probably in the back of his head figures that he can't get to him, and now we all thought that Tom would be a better motocross rider than Supercross, so I'm sure all that kind of played into Hayden's head and thought about it. Just the way he reacted compared to him, to Levi, you can just see the difference, and that's all up. That's credit to do to Tom Vial going out and getting his job done.
Tom Vial, a second-generation rider. His dad, Fred, pretty darn impressive in his own right over in France. Did even come over and race a couple Supercross races back in his time, and what a program they have built for Tom to win those 2 MXGP, MX2 world titles, and come over to America last year, learn the trade, and then win the Supercross title this year. And I think what makes Tom so scary is the dude is just so consistent. At no point in Supercross, I think, was he blowing anyone away with, say, raw speed, but he just stayed in it all year, never made really the big mistake, and that's how championships are won. He has proven that time and time again. This guy is just going to keep bringing it every single time. No panic or alarm last week just because Kitchen and Deegan had him covered?
No, definitely not. And I think for Tom, even though he was happy to probably end up being in that position, I'm sure he was disappointed on the way he got there, the way he rode. And that first moto to this one had a huge bounce back. And for KTM, if they can wrap this off, I mean, the last 2 hours has changed that whole fortune for that team.
Oh, wow.
It's been a good day. So good to see him. And like I said, I think as the year goes on, he's only going to get better.
Yeah.
But for Hayden Deegan, I mean, everything's all right. He's still, if he wraps this thing up, finish second, he'll be your points leader and win this overall today. So a mistake's going to be made. We never thought he'd go 24-0, but overall, this is man an hour.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't say it after 3 motos that Deegan was threatening perfect season. I'm glad I did not say that. And yeah, Deegan will be the overall winner. Now, normally we give the victor all the spoils, but we just feel in the way this 250 championship is this year that everyone's fighting for momentum and confidence. So even individual moto wins, even if they don't result in the overall, are still a pretty big deal. But Deegan will be 2-0 for the year on overall wins if it ends like this. And you can see why. He'd have 47 total points today with a first and a second. Vial, 4th and 1st. He's second, and Hymas is going to end up 4th overall. And here's where Hymas misses out. They pay bonuses to team for a podium. I'm going to say that's 20 or 30 grand for third. I don't know if you get any bonus money. Usually you don't for fourth. It depends on some of the contracts. Hymas might have that in there.
Yeah, depends
what
swing. They can negotiate and they got to open it up. But yeah, I want to talk about the Tom Allen and Hayden Deegan, because Hayden obviously won the first 3 races, and the way he won those races were really dominant, and you can hear it in his podium interview. So although he's going to end up with overall, what Tom's been able to do, and if he can hold off for the next quarter lap, it's going to stop that a little bit. It's going to let Hayden know that, hey, you might be the best and you got the red plate, but these guys are still in it. And I think for Tom, he knows that. He knew he was going to get better, but I think he's just sense of letting Hayden know he's there, and just getting that confidence for Tom himself opens up the door for all these other guys to come up, because Hayden was moving.
Look at that. He gave a thumbs up to his mechanic as he came back through the mechanics area. And here it is. Tom Vial wins the second moto at Hangtown. And Hayden Deegan will go 2-0, winning the overall for the second week in a row. Deegan takes Hangtown. Bangs himself on the head there. Bummed about that one.
He'll be all right when that check rolls through. It's still number 1.
That's right.
Bonus check for a good ride, good recovery for Hayden to get back up, hold Levi off, and keep that red plate on him.
And Kitchen will roll across in third. So once again, the 3